Welcome to Island Tea with your faves. Keep it locked in with us for your daily dose of hot tea only on Win Media 98.9.
Good morning to the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, the regional and international diaspora. Good morning. Good morning. How are you all doing this morning? It's just about 8 minutes after the hour of 8 o'clock here in the studio of winnfm. If you're hearing us, we are on your FM dial at 98.9. I should say if you're listening us by radio, by the way. So yeah, 98.9 on your FM dial. We're being simulcast on TVC Channel 40, Facebook, as well as YouTube. Just to remind you of the numbers, our local number, 466-0989. In the U.S., we have two numbers, 1305-921-4619 and 1718-285-6984 or 0333-440065. Good morning, Quint. How are you doing this morning?
I'm fine, thank you. And you?
Totally heartbroken now because they did not win last night. Although they already lost the series, I was hoping at least for one win. Their defensive playing is coming along quite well, but they need to work on getting people out. They need to work on bowling. They need to work on catching, and they need to work on. I saw them sacrificing their bodies a little more last night than they did previously, but yeah. They need some of that guy you told me, Jeff Dujon. They need to start throwing their bodies, going like doing the catch. I wonder if they actually look back at old videos of former players like Viveridge, Kirtley, and those people, and like see what they did and try to emulate. I'm not saying copy them. Mm-hmm. Get your own way.
Emulate, you're right.
See what they did and see how you can make it better.
I don't think they do seriously. Perhaps I don't think this in this modern age that their coaches and trainers would not let them, see these things. But I think when they see them with a sort of a nonchalance, like, what? Right? Me? Do that? You crazy? Because they're more concerned about looking suave and the
gold chain.
showing off.
Funny enough, I didn't see the gold chains unless they had them inside their shirts. I actually did.
Perhaps they're getting some flack for that, and they're desisting from it to some extent. But they have look, things are not going to change overnight. But we hope that they change, and we hope that we see gradual changes, and we'll know when we see those changes because we'll see a batsman or two who'll go in there and really hold their wicket and make some runs. We'll see a bowler who's taking his time, using his brains, and going for the stumps and not just throwing all here. And sometimes you're behind and you're still bowling wides and no balls, so. We're gonna know. We're gonna know when we see those. Like I say, I'm not gonna support anyone else, but West Indies is like West Indies is our child.
Oh Lord,
the Caribbean team, is our child, and that child is stubborn, has its own way, doesn't listen, always gets into trouble. But what are we gonna do? Are we gonna give up on our child?
We love the child anyway, but we need the child. But as my friend was saying too, she said they defended better than they did over the past two nights. They didn't make the amount of runs because the other two nights they were in the 200s.
Yeah.
Last night they stopped at 170, and they used the entire overs. And what irks me, and I knew. I told her last night, I said, look, Australia winning. She was even saying, maybe they're going to give us one. Give us? No. People want the bragging rights. We beat them at all 5 matches.
Look, these international teams, they don't have any sympathy.
And they shouldn't.
They shouldn't. Their aim is to win, and their aim is to beat you as soundly as possible. Because the more soundly they beat you, the more confident they are, and the more intimidated you're going to be when you meet them again.
Well, last night they got out the big ones. They got out the Australian Chris Gayle, which was David. They also got out Maxwell because they put out Maxwell first. They expected Maxwell to beat us up as badly as he did the last time with the 100 runs off of the 37 balls. But it didn't happen this time. The boys cleaned them out bright and early, which that's why I said they played a bit better defensively.
Look, we've seen on a number of occasions where the bowlers really bowled their heart out and got some crucial wickets, but then we lose it when it comes to the fielding, when they're going to bat, when they're going to bat and we have their main batsman out and we have them down with a little bit of runs and a number of good wickets, then the feeling, drop catches, balls going to you for four, all kind of miscommunication.
That's why I wanted you to come out, because you would have seen it. You would have seen it.
You want me to come out to suffer your heartbreak?
No, but I want you to see that. If you have watched it over the past 3 nights, you would have seen last night they're really tightened, even though they knew they lost the series. But then I'm still wondering, at what point in that game last night they lost momentum? Because the momentum they started with, to me, it faded away quickly. Mm-hmm. I don't understand. I would love to have a chat with the entire team and ask, at what point in this game do y'all lose momentum and decide, I am not even going to try anymore? Because we had them, and as I told my friend, they finished in the 16th over or something like that, according to my recollection. They never use the full 20. We always have to use the full 20 to gather
You know
some
what
runs.
the psychological thing is going to be against the West Indies? Remember, it's going to always be in the back of their heads until they really meticulously move with gradually gaining confidence, is that 27 runs. That 27, when you get out for 27 runs, even if the other team makes 80, 100, remember that 27 is what you couldn't
but
make.
You wouldn't think that 27 would make a difference and they come and beat them up in the T20s. Are they tired? What's going on? I don't know.
Hortensia, you do not understand that in everything there is a psychology. There is a psychology to everything. There's a psychology to life, living, romance, sex, everything. Our brain works to make everything what it is for us. In life, you're successful because psychologically you have that aim from a very young age and you say, I'm going to do this. And no matter what you go through in life, that psychological mindset gets you through. Even when you get knocked down, even when times you don't have a job, that psychological motivation. In sex, you see somebody, you look at them, psychologically you already start to imagine in your mind how it's going to be, the first touch. You understand? So even before they physically touch you, you're already being prepared. In a game of cricket, psychologically, a team like Australia, you know where they stand, and whenever you go on that field with them, you can tell yourself 1,000 times, I'm going to beat them. But when you see your players go down and the first player loses his stumps, that psychological effects begins to come in. Oh boy, I'm going to do this. Remember, we only made 27. And then next thing you know, another one goes down and bam, you think it's easy? It takes a hell of an individual to overcome that. I'm not saying it cannot be done, but I'm saying you're gonna have to have a completely strong mindset to overcome.
I'm sure when there was, and you see with Australia, right? Maxwell is their big hitter. When they lost Maxwell last night, you really think they thought they didn't have it?
Not the Australians. I'm not speaking about the Australians.
But I'm saying
the Australians gonna feel they're gonna always make it because the Australians know. Look, it's 27.
So you want to say so you want to say their psyche is better made up than that of our players,
yes,
our West Indian players.
Presently
but
it is.
Players have to do better.
Presently it is. Hello, caller.
Hi, good morning, Quinn.
Yeah,
and good morning, Hortensia.
Good morning.
Is there?
How are you doing?
Good morning. No, Hortensia, I did not. Actually, I took when I won the ticket at winnfm, I took one for the Saturday night because of prior engagement for the Friday. And I ended up not even going there because of other circumstances.
Oh, boy.
I ended up having to call my daughter and ask her if she wanted to go. She said yes, so she went.
Okay.
Yes, and it is unfortunate because I heard a caller yesterday that echoed some sentiments amongst the Caribbean when it comes to cricket and who the blame would be laid, whose feet the blame would be laid at. and it is unfortunate because at a time when we're supposed to show camaraderie, togetherness, as a one Caribbean, someone will see fit to lay the blame within their perspective on their different wager program, sports program, as to lay the blame. Whose grounds that might be the smallest? Why one team would want to have the advantage to knock six over the field, as opposed to why the other team cannot do the same thing, which both teams will have the prerogative to do such with their abilities to bet. And so there's a lot of blame to be laid. But Quint, we already said that the passion for the game, it has been gone, and we hope we can, re-inculcate that passion in our youths so that they can have the same pride and passion that the Vivian Richards, the Clive Lloyd had for the game back in the day. For something is evading the minds of our youths to see that cricket is a sport that a colonial sport rather, and we see ourselves coming, being into the colonies and wanting to assert ourselves and just letting them know that we can play the game as good as those who have introduced the game to us.
Yeah.
But I want to digress a little bit here, and I want to move to something, Hortensia, you would have probably done your homework on. I have not heard much of it except to our foreign Prime Minister, Dr. Denzel Douglas. I listened to a clip where he raised the matter of some of our students, maybe in the second or third or fourth semester, as they was going back to the U.S. to continue their educational pursuit, was intercepted and their visa was probably denied. Have you, Patensia, read into that?
No, and that's the thing. I did not think that we were part of it. So I did not, but I heard some shoo-shoo, but I didn't expect St. Kitts to be part of it. I haven't heard anything like major. Have you, Africa?
Times Caribbean had a clip there with former Prime Minister,
Oh, no.
Foreign Minister now, Dr. Denzel Douglas, raising the issue and laying the blame solely at the feet of the Trump administration.
Because that's the only reason why the young people shouldn't be let back in. I don't think there should be any other reason. But why he picking on us? What did we do to him?
Well, there's more in the mortar than the pestle.
I've said on numerous occasions, we as a Caribbean people, we as a black people all over the world, if we know our history, we're not too surprised when we see these things happening. All that is happening is that the established world is doing what it has always done, keeping us in our place, trying to, no matter what, even when we feel we don't do anything wrong, they want to always remind us that they can do whatever they want when they want, and we must always acquiesce.
Yes, but I said that there's more in the mortar than the pestle, for the fact that the European Union and the U.S., they're not taking kindly to our CBI program. As tedious as our programs are, I said programs because there's more than one island that is a part of the CBI. As tedious as our programs are, it was of a means, and as so many of us may not agree with it, its overall intention was to generate revenue, even though it is controversial, to generate revenue, and its ingenuity was a stroke of genius. However, what abuse and what corruption might have crept in, that is a story for another day. But they could not, and they don't want to accept the ingenuity of small island people who came up with such an idea to generate revenue, as controversial as it might seem. So there is more than just the matter that is in the pestle to that aspect as to why they will be picking on us. Students are in the third and the fourth semester. They would have known that all of the tuitions was agreed and arranged with the respective universities that those students would have attended over the past 3-4 semesters, and they was going to go back on the summer break, back to their pursuit, their educational pursuit, and their study into those respective universities.
I'm looking.
So when you say there's more in the martyr than the epistle, that is what kind of puzzles me, because how can there be more in the martyr than the epistle when, like I said, they're doing nothing new? Their intentions are always the same. The Moors went to Europe, taught the Europeans to be cleansed, taught them history, science, and everything. And when they reached a certain level, they kicked out the Moors. They reached out across the world, found out that the very same Moors who had taught them everything that they needed to advance as a people are all over the world and with a history all over the world. And they stole that history. And having stolen that history, they're doing the same thing ever since. We are descendants of those people who taught them everything. So they're always going to try to keep us in a place where if they try to steal what is rightfully yours, the only way they can continue doing it is to keep you in a place that looks subservient to them.
I am fully in agreement with you, but that old adage, the mortar and the pestle, I use that simplistic term because there are so many of us that, for whatever reason, they're not students of history, or they are naive in terms of these facts that you're presenting. And I use that simplistic term for those who are not of faith with the Moors.
Okay.
And other people who have went out beyond the borders of what we call the African space today.
Yeah.
And has brought civilization to other spaces.
Yeah. Look, if the Europeans were a smart people, humanity would be way ahead of where it is today. But because they are so full of hatred, and so because they're trying to oppress the very same people who have the aptitude to advance everything to the betterment of humanity. Look at what we've contributed in science and almost everything that has advanced the world, even right down to basic cooking, the flavoring and all that kind of stuff. It comes down to us, music, everything. But they're keeping us oppressed. As long as they're keeping us oppressed, you know what they're doing? They're retarding the advancement of the human race. And
the facts, Quint. The facts are the facts. For the simple facts you are bringing in subject matters like science, they would have had those facilities, and their science would have been as accurate as our science to say that once you have affected nature to a point that nature have a selective way of what we call karma. It's a cycle. And as you affect nature, that same nature is gonna have its turn on eventually on those who are affecting it.
Yes.
And that is the selective aspect of you have affected nature, you have suffered to cut down so many trees, you have suffered to pollute the oceans and so forth. And so you call it global warming or whatsoever. And that is a selective cycle that will come back to you.
Yeah, that is karma. That is karma. Yes, it is.
Yes. And that is because now
saying,
that the Europeans, they know it, Quint. Scientifically, they know that they are the minority group of people on the face of the earth. And so it's like for survival, they will want to be what we call narcissists in their ideology to get rid of everyone else.
But Africa, for survival. Let's be realistic. Let's be seriously realistic. If you want to survive by taking out the very same people from who you came from them. You reach with your research in DNA and so forth to understand that when you want a cure for any one of your sicknesses, you'll find it in the DNA of those who you came from. But you're still trying to destroy those who you came from, and then you think you're going to survive?
Good question. Okay, thanks for listening.
Okay.
I'll continue to listen.
Yeah, we'll take a bit of a commercial.
Okay, thanks for listening.
Okay.
I'll continue to listen.
And we'll be right back.
Found the sound 98.9 winnfm.
Build strong, grow together. Let Hartsford's building and Nevis centers lead the way. From tools to materials, we've got it every day. Hartsford's building and Nevis centers, name you can trust. For every dream protect, don't go and build with us. Dream with us, grow with us, build with us today. Hartsford's is the partner that helps you pave the way.
Supermarket shoppers understand that convenience matters. At Hortsport's Value Mart IGA, we know that price matters most. Ample parking and the widest variety matter. At Hortsport's Value Mart IGA, we know that price matters most. Clean, spacious aisles and the highest level of customer service all matter. At Hortsport's Value Mart IGA, price matters most. We've renewed our commitment to guarantee the lowest prices in the Federation. Why? Because we understand that in this tough economic environment, price matters most. Shop smart. Shop Value Mart, where price matters most. Farms Estate Nevis and Wellington Road, St. Kitts.
Price matters most.
Get ready to build, save, and celebrate. It's the Builders Paradise Culturama Weekend Sales Event. 3 days only, July 31st to August 1st. That's right, for one epic weekend. Take 25% off store-wide on all discountable items. From power tools to paint, tiles to timber, plumbing to finishes. Everyday low prices just got even lower. Don't miss your chance to stock up, step up, and save big this Culturama. Visit Builders Paradise at the Industrial Site Bastille. Call 869-466-4938 for more info. Builders Paradise. Build more. Spend less. Everyday low prices goes lower for Culturama.
This Culturama, it's time to celebrate culture, celebrate savings, celebrate at Hartsford's. Hartsford's Culturama sales event runs from July 31st to August 1st. 3 days only. Enjoy 25% off all discountable items store-wide at Hartsford's Building and Nevis Centers, Hartsford's Furniture and Appliances, Ashley Furniture Home Store, Hartsford's Automotive Accessories and Spares, and Builders Paradise. And that's not all. Get double cash back at Hartsford's Furniture and Appliances and Ashley Furniture Home Store. Whether you're upgrading, renovating, or just ready to save, celebrate big this Culturama the Hartsford's way. July 31st to August 1st. 3 days only at Hartsford's. Everything you need under one roof. Terms and conditions apply. For Culturama to Independence is your time to ride in style and save all the while with Hartsford's Automotive. Get up to $8,500 off on all models. No down payment, free bill of sale, 12 months of free servicing, or choose up to $1,000 in free groceries or free gas, your choice. And it doesn't stop there. Get free registration, licensing, tinting, and accessories. Whether you're a first-time buyer, a growing family, or just ready for an upgrade, this is your moment. Hurry in to Hartsford's Automotive, St. Kitts and Nevis, and ride in style. Save all the while. Terms and conditions apply.
Basta! We run things, things are on we. Basta! Basta! Live in color, do it differently. Basta! Basta! Large and in charge, like for the party. Basta! Basta! We set the pace, then everybody follow it.
7 flavors, best taste. Basta! Bolder, better, better. Pick your color.
We set the pace, then everybody follow it.
Basta! Live in full color.
Basta!
St. Kitts. Are you ready to invest with UTC GBFL?
Wait, UTC GBFL? What is that all about?
It's the UTC Global Balanced Fund Limited, your passport to investing in global markets, stocks, bonds, and opportunities worldwide, all within your reach.
So I can really start investing money?
Yes, and the best part, you can start with just 100 US or EC equivalent. Investing isn't just for the big players, it's for you. Whether you are seeking the potential to build wealth, secure your future, or chase your dreams, now is the time. Do it for you. Now, visit utcgbfl.com to get started today. UTC GBFL. Invest for tomorrow. Do it for you. An investor should consider a fund's investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses before investing with the full knowledge that an investor may not get back the amount invested. The price of the units may increase or decrease, or that there may be circumstances where redemption of units may be suspended. This and other important information can be found in the fund's prospectus, which is available on our website, www.utcgbfl.com. The Eastern Caribbean Securities Regulatory Commission has not in any way evaluated the merits of the securities offered.
Seize the day with a summer loan from TDC Financial Services. Whether it's vacation, home upgrades, back to school prep, or even a little treat for yourself, borrow up to $65,000 unsecured with low rates and flexible terms. Apply today at TDC Financial Services, Central Street, St. Kitts, or Main Street, Charlestown, Nevis. Don't miss the sunshine. Let your summer plans sail smoothly with TDC Financial Services, where money is made easy.
Welcome to Island Tea with your faves. Keep it locked in with us for your daily dose of hot tea, only on Win Media 98.9.
And we are back on Island Tea. And as we prepare for weekly dose, as we get our rebroadcast ready, before it begins, I will go into an article that deals with health. So the article reads as follows, and this article can be found on winnfm.com. It says, Prime Minister Dr. Terence Drew provides critical update on health services and treasury matters. This article is by Kevin Brown, and it reads as follows. During a recent sitting of the National Assembly, Prime Minister and Minister of Health and Finance, the Honorable Dr. Terence Drew, delivered an update regarding the state of health services, particularly focusing on the ambulance fleet, enhancement to emergency response, and vital information on Treasury operations. Dr. Drew began by addressing the much-anticipated arrival of new ambulances for St. Kitts. We have on order 9 ambulances. These ambulances should have arrived already. However, our agent TDC, a local company, has indicated that because of the Ukraine war and supply chain issues, there is a bit of delay in getting the ambulances, he revealed. He further explained that these vehicles, which must be custom built to the country's specification, remain on track despite setbacks, with expected arrivals slated for November. In the meantime, two ambulances are expected to two ambulances are expected imminently, and they are anticipated to arrive by the end of July. As we have been told, we have already received the necessary information from the brokers and so forth about those ambulances, Dr. Drew assured, emphasizing the critical nature of bolstering the ambulance fleet to ensure comprehensive coverage for the entirety of St. Kitts. In addition to the ambulance update, the Prime Minister shared meaningful progress with the Ministry of Health Emergency Services. Notably, for the first time, a chaplain has been added to the hospital staff. We think that spirituality and having access to prayer and so forth are also important with respect to the whole matter of recovery and well-being, Dr. Drew said, highlighting the holistic approach to healthcare. Furthermore, the government has expanded its emergency medical team by adding 9 new emergency medical technicians, 12 paramedics, and an additional 7 EMTs thereby strengthening the nation's emergency response infrastructure. Turning to financial matters, Dr. Drew provided a critical update concerning uncollected checks at the Treasury. He communicated that there remain unclaimed Treasury checks and urged nationals to address any outstanding issues. If there's anyone who has any issue with the Treasury in terms of collecting check, the Treasury is open, and the Treasury has uncollected check and is continuously seeking to reach people, some of whom they cannot reach at this particular time, he said. The Prime Minister underscored the importance of public engagement with the Treasury. Dr. Drew directed those needing assistance to the Treasury location in the heart of Bastille. He said, unquote, "I want to indicate to the people of this country that was put out by the government and to please seek any redress with the Treasury, as it has to comply with what it has to comply with, irrespective of any other issue." So I just wanted to put that out there, and the Treasury, of course, is right here in the middle of Bastille. What is the street called? Central Street. Central and the corner of Central and Church Street, and to have any matters resolved. The Prime Minister further acknowledged the challenges faced by the Treasury officials in contacting individuals, encouraging anyone aware of outstanding issues to take prompt action. So once again, folks, the Treasury is on Central Street. As he said, the corner of Church and Central Street. It's right across from Government House. It's facing the Development Bank. It's right there. So if you have any issues, go there and get yourself sorted out. And as the Prime Minister mentioned, we'll have more ambulances soon. We have more EMTs. We have more paramedics. So let's all hope for a brighter, as they would say, there's a light at the end of the tunnel, but let us all celebrate the progress and look for a brighter future when it comes to healthcare in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. As we continue to anticipate our rebroadcast of Weekly Dose, I will continue with another article. I still did not, Africa, just to address you, I still did not see anything on the school children. I went to the site while you and Quint were discussing. I shouldn't say school children, the young people that are returning to college, although it's still school, but tertiary education. I didn't see anything. I looked high and low, so I'm going to have to dig further and see what is it I can find out, and I'll come back and let you know what it is I found. It says 2025 St. Kitts Music Festival, a record year with over 37,000 patrons. I know Greg normally says we should get the finances and everything, but Greg, we got the counts at least to begin with. Let me say that. It says the 2025 St. Kitts Music Festival marked a record-breaking milestone, attracting over 37,000 attendees across its 3 electrifying nights, according to the Minister of Tourism, the Honorable Marsha Henderson. Attendance figure revealed by Minister Henderson highlighted the festival's vibrant appeal. Approximately 11,000 patrons joined the opening night on Thursday. Nearly 16,000 attended Friday's event, and just under 10,000 energized the Saturday finale. The turnout positions the festival as one of the most successful editions yet. The turnout represents a 76% increase in attendance compared to the previous year, underscoring the growing popularity of the festival both regionally and internationally. Minister Henderson attributed the surge to enhanced marketing strategies, growing global buzz, and strong partnerships. We are still collating the data, but we were able this year to scan tickets to give us a more accurate account of patrons. We did have some glitches, but on Thursday night we had about 11,000 patrons. On Friday night we had close to 16,000 patrons. And on Saturday night we had just under 10,000 patrons. In terms of the what we started, we did, like I've said, when we did our previous press conference prior to the music festival, we are in the process of finalizing the assessment, the economic impact assessment. I just want to take this opportunity as well to thank all the volunteers who worked during, and they are still working, because we are collecting data until the end of July. This is what experts have said, and data will be assessed during the month of August. Therefore, we should have thereafter we should have the final report. So I want to thank all the volunteers who worked before the festival, during the festival, and those who continue to work now with us. I didn't hear you, Quinn, sorry? You ready? You ready? Okay, caller, go ahead. You're live on Island T. Okay, we lost that caller. Caller, you can always feel free to call back. All right, so I'll continue. Okay, no problem. We'll take a commercial break and we'll be right back.
WINN is 98.9. 98.9 is Win FM.
St. Kitts and Nevis, it's time to celebrate! We're raising our glasses and saying cheers to 20 years as your trusted telecommunications provider. And because we love our amazing customers, we're giving you the chance to win. Every week, we've got exciting prizes just for you. And that's not all. Step into a cash vault for a shot at $2,000 in cash. To qualify, switch to Digicel, activate a 3-day plan or higher, pay your bill in full, sign up for postpaid or a new Digicel Plus internet package. Stay connected, keep enjoying the best service, and get ready to win. 20 years strong, and we're just getting started. Visit a Digicel retail store today.
Okay.
St. Kitts and Nevis. T20 cricket is back at Warner Park with West Indies versus Australia on July 25th, 26th, and 20th.
St. Kitts and Nevis, time to get charged up for the Fuller Energy Home Series. West Indies.
If you live in low-lying areas, be aware of the possibility of tsunamis immediately after an earthquake. A strong earthquake lasting 20 seconds or more is a natural tsunami warning. Do not wait for an official warning. Gather your family members and evacuate immediately after the shaking stops. Don't delay. A tsunami could occur within minutes.
This message is sponsored by the Australian Government, AusAid, and produced by NEMA in collaboration with WinFM.
For this year's Restaurant Week, National Bank wants you to swipe more, win more, and experience more. Use your National Bank Visa credit or debit card at any participating restaurant for a chance to win a VIP Culturama experience. Pick your event, get a glam makeover, and skip the lines like a star. Or get $500 in Lyman cash and splurge to the max. Swipe and win with National, the official bank of the St. Kitts Nevis Restaurant Week.
From the time that you taste it, man, you know that it's greatness. Some ice in your cup, tell your friends drink up. You know that we Lyman. Signal the bartender. No, we don't need chaser, but if you want, it could mix with anything. We drinking Stones ginger wine, the original ginger wine. We drinking a like I say, Stones ginger wine. Greatness is forever.
Welcome to Island Tea with your faves. Keep it locked in with us for your daily dose of hot tea, only on Win Media 98.9.
And we are back on Island Tea, and I was looking at the international days, and today, I know in some months, almost every day they have an international day for something, and today, I know we don't have this animal in St. Kitts, but today is International Tiger Day and National Lipstick Day. I know a lot of us on the island do wear lipstick, we do wear makeup, so it's National Lipstick Day And then I see Google says in Bastille, St. Kitts and Nevis, it's also Culturama Day, a public holiday. But I think they may have had that one a tad mixed up because that holiday is not until next week, actually. Yeah, wow. Folks, this is Thursday ends this month. Wow, next week Monday's culture is the Grand Street Parade. Oh boy. Just like that, July is out of here. Wow. As I said, the days are going fast. The time is just flying by, as we would say. And today is also National Lasagna Day. I know that's a dish a lot of us love here in the Federation. It's also National Wing Day. I know some of us, oh boy, like myself, I eat wings, but people say I eat wings funny because I go under the skin, take off the meat, and then I eat nothing else on the wing. Yeah. And National Intern Day. I'm sure all of us would have been an intern at some point in our life. So they said International Tiger Day. This is a day dedicated to raising awareness about tiger conservation. National Lipstick Day, a day to celebrate the Caller, good morning. You're live on Island T. Oh boy, oh Lord. Callers, you keep, by the time we get to you, you're gone. Could you call back? Okay, caller, go ahead. You're live on Island T. Good morning.
Good morning, hostess. How are you?
I'm trying to be better than yesterday. What about yourself?
I'm good, thank God.
Amen.
I hear about this fear she again. What's going on with this fear she again? What's going on with St. Kitts and Nevis again? I was listening to a talk and I hear them talking about fear she.
Oh, I didn't. See, that's the thing, As much as I'm out there, sometimes I really miss things. I didn't hear about the fair share. What about the fair share are you hearing? Because when I read the article
I don't know. I just want to know because you come look here and talk again about this fair share.
Oh,
because I know when the unity government, they make it seem like, look, Timothy Harris saying Nevis enough and whole unity government mash up.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to know what's going on with this fair share because to me, this fair share thing look like a bait. They're trying to catch people. Election gone, they win.
Mm-hmm.
They ain't come and talk about fair share. They do what they want to satisfy themselves. Mm-hmm. They take a big increase.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And now, it coming up to election, they're coming and talking about fair share. They need to stop using people as sick and tired. How some of these politicians want to feel like they could trick you all the time. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
They're going to do what they want to do only when they win. So when election come around, you forget that. So now they're bringing up something again. Okay?
But
so they need to stop.
But I don't understand. How is the fair share going to be beneficial to the election time? You mean in terms of people turning against the current administration? That's what you're talking about?
Fair share
mm-hmm.
is to catch people again. That's why you look up they use, and they need to stop it. They need to stop. Because when election done and they win, we're going to benefit them, they jam it on you only. So when election coming around, you forget what they do and come up with something else. That's what they're tricking people. We don't need to stop it. I'm sick and tired of how they're being using people now. It's not fair. What fear here? He said, what the best on Timothy? Well, why it is now? Why it is again? Why the Nevis want? Somebody could correct me if I'm wrong. I went over Nevis the other by this place. I see a building there for years. I think this was supposed to be a Newcastle police station.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Somebody needs to correct me. If it's that, why that there so long and can't finish? Hey, people, Nevis people, they need to pull up your hair because the stage here is a bait.
Oh, boy.
And hostess, you have a good morning. And I hear we're talking about a snake yesterday. Why is your snake?
What? A snake?
No. Somebody was saying that. Maybe I misunderstand then.
I know, because I'm terrified of snakes. I don't want no snakes in St. Kitts.
Oh, well, maybe I misunderstand.
Oh,
maybe
Lord.
Maybe saying St. Kitts because
if we were talking about a snake, let me tell you, if you heard anything about a snake yesterday, it was the snake line Like we were saying, it was long as a python.
Maybe
No,
I misunderstand.
no, Lord, you
Because
almost scared me out of my skin. I'm terrified of snakes.
Well, I apologize. I misunderstand them because I want to know if think it's a snake.
Oh, no, we are mongoose,
Because-
thank God. Oh boy.
Look, watch ya. The mongoose, them a run from the state now.
But you?
I don't know why. Because St. Croix is full of snakes. All across the road, you see them crawling.
So the
And
mongoose,
the mongoose.
they're running from
Let me
them.
tell you something. I don't want to see them thing at all. When I walking up the road, and they got bush, I walk in the middle of the road because there's something all in the side of the road. there.
Exactly, and they hang from trees and all kind of thing. You be careful out there,
Yes,
okay,
I
my
just
love?
don't like to see nothing. I don't want to see nothing at all crawling.
Exactly. Okay, you have a good one.
Oh, and you know what's funny too?
Go ahead.
I want to put that morning. No, it was a night, maybe about minute to 7. And they see something crawling that says a worm, and a gentleman there says not a worm, it's a snake. A little small thing, it's long and it's black.
Oh my gosh.
I say, how you know it? I say, how you know it's a snake? He said, yes, because which part he from? He got snake, and that's a snake. It's long and it's black, right there opposite by the casino we're walking over there. So I don't know if it's a snake. I take it on my phone, and other people take it on the phone, and they say it's a snake. A young baby one. So they need to check out over there and see if any over there hiding in the bush because people are bringing these things here.
Oh boy.
Yes.
No, we don't need that at all. I'm terrified of those. I know there's none there, and if the bush outside in my backyard grow up too much, I don't want to go out there because I'm from a country that has snakes. I don't want to see snakes. I've grown so comfortable of not seeing snakes here in St. Kitts.
Let me tell you something. You hear? When you see them, they watch for your country, you have no control over them.
Yeah.
None.
Exactly.
You can't control them because they say when they lay, they look 8 teeth.
Yeah.
Eggs. Oh my God, it's terrible.
Yeah. No
just skip away from them.
I will do that.
Them, the one from them.
But I
the
need
mangoes, the one from them.
I thought that's what the mango's purpose to eat the snakes. I didn't realize they're running from the duties.
Watch here, this snake used to kill the mongoose, but them snakes, I don't know, they're just here to see them how they just stand up and, oh my God, I don't even want to talk about them here. Yeah, so, well, I hope none in St. Kitts because a couple of years ago, I think they said they find one up by Slug Rung or something.
Okay, well, I'm
good. On a fence or something, I don't know, but people don't bring them in, and then they let them go wild.
No. Well, they need to not bring them in. Leave St. Kitts snake-free, please. Leave it
I
snake-free.
you.
Indeed.
I tell you. And you have a blessed day. And face here, Nevis people, I pull up and buckle up here because this face here, election may be coming around, and this is a bait they don't try with you here because I don't know what this face here is all about. You here, girl, I don't know. It's a thing to catch people. And what's that? It's so real. When Timothy did the they were doing that, he said we were the best, and we come back again. Well, why be they doing wrong? Why Nevis saying just in it? Why be Nevis wrong?
Boy.
Anyway, who said see you here?
You have a good one.
morning.
You too. Thanks for
Okay.
the info. You were saying something, Quinn? Okay, caller, go ahead. You're live on Island T.
Hello.
Hi, good morning.
Yes, good morning. Good morning to everybody. Greetings once more in Jesus' name, the only Savior of sinners from the sin and from hell, and the second person of the eternal Trinity. First of all, I would like to say, as usual, we need to become a republic and get out the British Commonwealth as quickly as possible. The quicker, the better. Now, concerning the snake issue, I thought yesterday when I heard y'all were talking about a real snake over Figgy Bear.
No, Lord Jesus,
I thought y'all were talking about it because I informed people and said, well, I just hear Win FM. This year snake over Figgy Bear. Y'all got any picture on WhatsApp y'all could send me? I really thought y'all were talking about a real snake.
No, we were comparing the lines, saying with the length of a python and even bigger, maybe a couple pythons.
I thought it was a real python.
No. Greg, no, the line to get to grill fest. We don't need no snake in this country, man. Yeah.
But another issue concerning the music festival attendance. You find it strange that they tell you they had a record attendance, but they tell you if they made a net profit or a net loss and how much it was.
That's why I call you out.
Yeah, it's the same thing. It's the same thing when they come and tell us, oh, We brought so many jobs online, we brought so many businesses online, but they ain't telling you at that same period how much businesses were closed down and how much jobs were lost. No, they ain't telling you that. And the information is there now. Saying that the information ain't there, the information is there. But they ain't telling you that. All they're telling you is what they want you to hear, to skew a picture in your mind so that you could go and so that could make you think that they said something when they didn't say it, and make that to make them be put in a positive light, when really if you had the other information, you will see that the light is more negative. You see that the darkness is more negative than anything else. So, yeah, I find it very strange that they're quick to tell you record attendance, but not about whether they made a net profit or a net loss and how much it was. You know? People show our politicians are terrible, you know? Like all the others, they're very terrible, you know?
Why you say they're terrible?
Because they're only telling you certain things, but they ain't giving you the whole story. So they want you to misunderstand them so that you could create a positive picture when the situation might be very negative.
Wow.
And for other reasons, as I said that too, for other reasons as well. It ain't just that alone. Because, for example, when they tell businesses don't pay local new employees more than a certain amount, tell the businesses them that, you know, and next thing, the businesses them now end up looking like villains when the politicians are the villains. And when the politicians come and increase minimum wage, it make them look like a hero when actually they are the villains, because they tell the businesses them don't pay your employees, the new ones, new local employees, beyond a certain amount, because they will be coming in the local sector and we won't be getting none in the government sector. People won't be coming to us. So they make the businesses look like villains and they look like heroes, especially when they increase minimum wages. When that is not the case, the opposite is really the case. So all of those reasons and others why I say our politicians are very terrible on all sides, because all of them tell businesses don't pay local new employees more than a certain amount.
But you really think...
And that's very, very bad.
You say all of them tell business, right?
Yes.
Is there proof of that?
If there is proof of that, well, even Clint the other day said he heard one employer that he was working with mentioning it, that, hey, these people telling me how much I should pay my employees. Chesley Hamilton, some Saturday ago, mentioned the same thing. You know, and not only that, somebody else came on the program and spoke of personal knowledge of that. And I think that one went back all the way in the days of Pam, when they were doing the Southeast Peninsula Road.
Oh, boy.
So our politicians are terrible. Terrible, terrible, terrible on all sides. Lastly, this fear thing, if you really study it out, it's really a bunch of confusion, you know? And all because we don't do things the biblical way. It's really a bunch of confusion. You know why I said that? Okay, Nevis is supposed to get a certain amount of money, okay? Now, remember, the government think it ain't got no government, you know? What we have is a Nevis government and a federal government. Think it ain't got no government. So that means Nevis is supposed to get the share, plus the federal government supposed to be looking after both Nevis and St. Kitts equally, because they are federal. So therefore, the money that the federal government have, that is also Nevis money to honor. You see? So this fair share thing is very confusing, because it's two shares of money Nevis would have. Their specific share plus the federal government, which they have ownership to as well, because it is a federal government. It is not a St. Kitts government. And they're supposed to be looking after Nevis as equally as they do St. Kitts, not one above the other, because they are federal government, not a St. Kitts government. St. Kitts not got no government. So if you study it, it's really, really, if we really, really study it and if we really go by the books, how it's supposed to really be and what a federal government really means, the whole thing is very confusing.
But let me ask you this, right? You said it's a federal government, and we both know it's a federal government, right? It's not just a one-sided government. When it comes to fair share, what are we talking about? We were expecting ambulances. When they come, do we cut them down the middle, or do all stay over here?
Well, as a federal government, if you really is a federal government, you ain't supposed to be taking no sides over the other. You ain't supposed to be treating you ain't supposed to be treating one better than the other. So that means the Nevis. That means if you're bringing in ambulances, that means there are federal ambulances, not St. Kitts ambulances, because they're brought in by the federal government.
That's what I'm asking. If when these ambulances come, if they're going to be split down the middle, I don't know.
That's what I said. The whole thing is really a confusion if you really go by
But
what
why
you
should
really
it be a
supposed to be.
confusion when it's such a small federation and everybody can survive by splitting everything down the middle? Well, not the...
Because St. Kitts do not have a government. So that's part of the confusion.
I hate I hate to hear. There's another caller waiting, but I hate to hear this argument, and then it brings it down to humanity on a whole. Humanity is what humans make it to be. If there's a federal government and the federal government is in St. Kitts, over the years you've always heard Nevis complaining they don't get enough. Why is that? Because the federal government is mainly on Nevis, and the majority of the individuals who make up the party are usually from the federal government. That in itself tells you that St. Kitts has a government. How are you going to say St. Kitts doesn't have a government when the federal government? Because you see, it's selfishness.
Where's the federal government supposed to be? I want to know that. Where's the federal government supposed to be?
Let the other caller interject. Caller, go ahead.
Yeah, good morning to you guys. Yeah, Gwen, to that point you just made.
Yeah.
It's only two islands. Whether St. Kitts has a government or not, what you just said should be considered, because if it's only two islands, one has rallied for their preserving their right to their fair share. But because of the fact that the federal government is located on St. Kitts, it appears like the federal government is the St. Kitts government. Is representing St. Kitts. The lady that called in just now, she asked about, she's hearing about fair share in the air again. Of course, they're using this as a political play. No one wants to sit down and hash out the differences. We had the Honorable Joseph Parry on a podcast last night, and we know Joseph Parry, the era he was leading Nevis as the premier. It's so much years that passed since then to now, and we're back at square one again, talking about fair share. The thing is, right now, what I see, the people got to unite when it comes to these national issues and go in the street.
And that is the problem. Here's the problem. Nobody wants to unite, and because they don't want to unite, the St. Kitts government, the people who make up the St. Kitts cabinet, this is a fact. Because they don't want to unite and give Nevis what it deserves, when it is convenient for them, they say, the Constitution is unfair. The Constitution, St. Kitts don't have a government. Mind you, the people who make up the federal government, who are the majority on St. Kitts, are saying this, who go in there and control the making the laws and this and that, who going there. Do you hear Nevisians going there with the majority and making the laws? No. The federal government, which is made up mainly of people from constituency 1 up to 8, they go in there, but when it is convenient for them, they bring up this argument, the Constitution ain't right, because Nevis has a clause where they can secede, and St. Kitts don't have a clause where they can secede. Why would St. Kitts, it's like saying a child has a right to go, but the parent don't have the right to go. Why would a parent want to secede from a child? The parent's job is to take care of the child. Okay, so if the child wants to grow up and rebellion go on, and so that is the child's right, but it is the parent's responsibility to take care of the child. But because the federal government, who is really the parent, doesn't want to take care of Nevis, who is a child, they come up with all kind of stupid arguments about we need a constitution. Look, if the Constitution changes 1 billion times, you are going to still find problems. You know why? Because you have human beings who are nefarious, who are greedy, who are narcissistic, and that is going to be... So no matter, you can change the Constitution 1 billion times to infinity, I can guarantee you long after we're gone, people are going to still finding problems with the Constitution. Because people who are in control of the government are not going to do what they're supposed to do. If people do what they're supposed to do, if the federal government takes care of St. Kitts and Nevis the way it should, we wouldn't have a problem.
Yes, that's correct. Friend, you're absolutely correct with all of what you just said. It's like St. Kitts don't need that clause 113. Nevis needs that. St. Kitts, what do you want to tell me? St. Kitts is going to try to succeed from itself?
You know?
No. Exactly what you just said is what it is. But the order of the day is simple like this. We seen that the Premier of Nevis break up a team unity construct, right? And one of his mantra was fair share. And Timothy Harris was recommending the report be done by the World Bank. He didn't want to do it. He didn't want to agree to it. Now he agreed to it underneath this due administration. And then when he made his comments, he said anybody from Sixth Form College in Nevis or the Fitzroy Bryant College in St. Kitts can work out this details. But now he hesitated from inputting numbers from the local side in Nevis so that these guys can make a fair assessment. And now he's complaining that these figures on the local side in Nevis was omitted. He's complaining that he wasn't consulted.
When it comes to Mark Brantley, like I said, I used to support Mark Brantley. But how long does a person keep doing the same thing and no result, and you're going to keep compromising for that person? Mark Brantley has run out. Mark Brantley should realize he has run out of excuses. Simple. There's nobody to blame now. It is not Dennis Douglas to blame, Kennedy Simmons to blame, Pam to blame, Unity to blame. It's him now. It's on him. It's on the decisions that he has made. And so he needs to own up to the fact that he has not produced good results for Nevis in his tenure. So what? He's going to keep on coming. He's going to keep on coming on and making excuses, and people are going to keep on going and voting for him. What kind of people? Stupid people?
So
I mean, come on. Look, I don't. This is why I don't like to get into political things, because I don't hold any sides for anybody. I will say it as I see it, whether it's for Pam, Labour, whoever. Like I said, I used to be proud of Mark Brantley, way back, young, dynamic sounding, but then after a time you start to scratch your head and say, well, he sounds dynamic, but I don't see any results.
I mean, really.
And how long
really
you're going to do that?
Yeah, Quint, man, you have hit it on the head this morning. You hit the nail on the head.
And then and then even though he's not producing any results, you're hearing behind the scenes all kind of rumors that he's a lawyer for this side and a lawyer for that side, and then you hear that him and his spouse are behind trying to get land from the people to do certain projects. So it seems to me, somebody needs to correct me if I'm wrong, that Mark Brantley, over all the stint that he has not produced for the Nevis people, he has produced for himself. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything here.
Let me get something in when you finish, man.
Go ahead.
I'm going to let you keep going.
Go ahead. Look, I didn't want to come in, I was here editing a program so that at the end of at 9:30 I could bring on the program because it should have been on before, but because certain things weren't done, I have to be doing it. So I was trying to keep myself silent and quiet. But when I heard Greg going on over and over about St. Kitts don't have a government, I just couldn't palate this nonsense. Go ahead.
Quint, that program you might not even get that program on.
I'm gonna get it
No,
on.
I would
because
encourage the.
I'm gonna get
Yeah,
it.
okay.
I'm gonna get it on because I already have it. Okay. So go
Okay.
ahead.
Okay. So this is my 2 pence for the morning, man, and I'm gonna put it out there. My name is Burl Jones, and I'm from Pattongrove Village. Mark Brantley is a personal friend of mine, somebody who I know from 12 years old, and I don't really care at this point if he hear me talking up against him because I'm a person that I don't condone wrong. Trust me. I've stood up to my family members, and I'm going to stand up to any one of those politicians in the Federation who are doing wrong and holding the people hostage. He is failing at the projects in Nevis, and Nevis people has to now wake up. Nevis needs new management of their money. It's worth $60 to $66 million we community construct, and it's the most money Nevis was getting. Where has all that money gone? And it's insane to see how Nevis people are just standing there and taking that abuse. Friends, when you're in a relationship and you're being abused, do not stay there and take that abuse. It's time for Nevis people to rise up and stand up.
And look,
We
let
need
me.
new managers of our money.
And look, you're right. They need a change. But here's another side of the story too, because like I said, I'm not going to sugarcoat anything for anybody. The party that was there before, they made some mistakes. And it hurt the Nevis people. And the Nevis people haven't forgotten those mistakes. The Nevis people are now caught between a rock and a hard place. They want a change, but they want, if they make a change, that change benefits them. So NRP is the option they have, because Nevis only has the two-party. So NRP needs to don't be talking and talking and talking. NRP needs to be making plans so that if the Nevisian people feel that in their desperation for change that they will turn to you, you need to make the people see when they make that change, because this is the problem that we've been suffering throughout the Caribbean. When we make a change, the people who get into the position of making that change, they feel they can just be business as usual, nonchalant, do the same nefarious things. Their families getting employed. Look, we're finished with this nonsense. We want you to govern. There's a woman at the helm of the NRP. There's some questions as to her past, but I'm not going to judge her. We all make mistakes. Here's the key now. If the Nevisian people want to make that change, and I feel that they should take a chance on her, but I'm not going to give her a pass. If the Nevis people make a change and they come to the NRP, you better pull your damn socks up. You understand? You better give the Nevisian people something that they can be proud of, and not 2 years into the realm, they don't see anything and they're saying, scratching their head again, because what are they going to do? Go back to Mark Brantley again? Come on, give people good options. Make changes that when people make changes to you, make the people feel proud. Stop when you get in there, people see you only want to line your pockets. I'm not saying you're going to do that. I'm hoping you're not going to do that. But look, I'm not here. When people see me, I walk, I keep to myself. I don't trouble people. People don't trouble me. I'm not, like I said, I'm not going to get here and sit in front of a mic because a mic is in front of me to try to make friends and to try to be popular. I've never done that. I'm not trying to be popular. I'm not trying even to make enemies. I don't hate Mark Brantley, but if he has not performed, he has not performed. And he has a way, whenever you critique him, he goes down to being like a child. He starts to get like pinching and biting and doing all kind of things that men don't do. If you're a man and you get some hard knocks, after all this time you've not take it like a man. Stop being like a wimp. Like what we saw with the Antiguan politician the other day, where he stooped so low as to talking about how someone's toenail is looking. You're a leader. Lead.
I mean, I mean, Prince, to tell you the honest truth, man, I want to thank you for ranting this morning, and I want the people in Nevis to know that me, Burl Jones, is agreeing with 100% of what you just said, and Nevis people got to understand what's going on in their own hometown. We got to change the leadership, and I'm starting to talk publicly about it. I think last week Monday I've made my first stab at the leadership over there, and I'm going to continue in this vein because we need new people to manage our money on Nevis.
And
the
Burl,
only way
and
that's gonna
Burl,
be done
and
is
Burl,
by changing the government there.
and Burl, this goes to you too. Because I've always said you're young, you sound dynamic, you have some good ideas and concept, but that doesn't cut it. If you were ever to be given an opportunity, I don't want to be, because I'm not a young man, I don't want to be grumbling in my rocking chair and saying, look what they do. Look how they give a boy the thing and the boy do and mess it up. No, I want you to go in there. You're not going to be perfect, but I want you to go in there and try your best to change this kind of stupid politics that we see happening. This kind of politics that is just about politics and not about the people.
All I'm going to say to the Nevis people again this morning is we have to stand up for ourselves on our island of Nevis. We have seen the projects them failing, and I'm going to tell you, Quinn, the Prime Minister is guaranteeing a loan, $20 million for the top of the airport to pay out those residents on the top of the Newcastle airport to expand the airport. And to me, that don't really make any sense. And I'm going to tell you, that $20 million that's guaranteed is already have excuses. The Premier is already making excuses. And you know what those excuses are going to do? It's going to delay that project, and that project is going to fail. I would advise the Nevis people on the top of Newcastle Airport to stand their ground and boycott movement away from that area. Boycott it now. Because anyhow, the Premier is successful at moving those people. He is going to move on the south side lands of Nevis the same way. And I'm going to tell you something, Quint. I don't know if you know that. I don't know if you found this out yet. But I'm going to tell you what's going on the Nevis side right now. This year, they increased property taxes. And they have a law over in Nevis that every 5 years, they're supposed to reevaluate the properties down. The NIA government right now, led by CCM, they ain't did it in 17 years. So you know what that means? That means in 17 years, coming out of being the arrangement with Team Unity, he was getting money. You know when somebody's getting money and they okay, Grant, you will never hear somebody calling you for help when they have money in their pocket. But now that he's fronting for the money, you know what this man is doing right now, Nevis? He's putting forth an exercise to be completed in November of this year to revalue the properties them in Nevis now. And so then therefore by January of 26, there's going to hopefully be another property increase on the Nevis side. You know, that's going to put the squeeze on the land and property owners in Nevis. And then what you're going to see start happening, the Nevis people are going to get desperate and they're going to start selling out them south side lands. And if Nevis people don't stand up right now, I'm sorry for Nevis people. I'm sorry to say this morning, man.
All that has been done, that has been done from the Nevis end is that there's more of a squeeze happening with the Nevis people. We already know that the cost of living. Imagine St. Kitts is here, Nevis is just over there, and the cost of living on Nevis is much higher than down here. That in itself is a squeeze on Nevis.
Yes, that's correct.
You understand?
That's
But
correct.
anyway, Burl. Greg, you've been waiting patiently. My apologies. I would like you to make a final statement. Go ahead, Greg. Make a final statement.
Yes, let me say this. If words have meaning, and words do have meaning, you cannot be federal and acting in a local capacity. Otherwise, you're making a nonsense of words. During Douglas' time, he wanted to build an office in Nevis because he said, and was correctly, that the government is a federal government. But there were those in Nevis who disagreed with it and said, St. Kitts want to come up in Nevis, and in Nevis business and that stuff. No. it's a federal government.
But
St.
but
Kitts does
but
not have a
even
federal
though
government.
you're right, come on, we're not foolish. We know what we know
no,
what
don't
his
get me wrong,
intentions.
Quinn.
We know what his intentions were, and this is why I said when it's convenient for them.
Correct.
The argument.
But the logic of his argument was correct.
The logic of his argument was correct, but the reason for him doing it at that time was to undermine the Nevis end.
Wait, no argument there. But the argument of the logic of his argument was correct. There are and the federal government is entitled to build offices in Nevis. They are entitled to do that as a federal government.
The federal government is entitled to do consistently, and let me put emphasis on that word, consistently, what benefits St. Kitts and Nevis. Because
right.
Yes, I said St. Kitts and Nevis. So this is where when we say St. Kitts don't have a government, that is a lie, because it is to benefit
St. Kitts doesn't have
both.
A local government. That is what is
why does it need a local government? It does not, because these down here are in control. There's no ifs and buts about it. They are in control. And so, if you're going to be consistent, if you're going to take care of the Nevis people, look, here's a hypothetical. If when things are going well, you put an office over on Nevis to defend the Nevis aspect and to make sure Nevisians are properly represented, and you do that consistently, no problem. But when you don't give Nevis what they need for long periods, and then when you're going through a period and you're trying to undermine the Nevis end, you want to put an office over there to show that you love the Nevis people, but you really don't. You think people are foolish?
No, hold on. Me ain't got no disagreement with General Quinn, but all I'm saying, based upon the man-made constitution that we have, the federal government ain't supposed to look just after St. Kitts. It's supposed to look after both St. Kitts and Nevis. Unlike a local government, it just look after the country that it is the government of. So again, that is why I come back and I say, St. Kitts, if you're going to go on the constitution, the man-made constitution, does not have a local government. We say local, put it in that way. A local government. Yes, it acts as a
but Greg, I am saying to you that is nonsense. St. Kitts is St. Kitts in itself. Nevis is Nevis in itself. There are two different aspects, but yet still they combine because they are a federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. But St. Kitts is St. Kitts. Nevis is Nevis. So when you ask me where you're from, where you're locally from, I'm from St. Kitts. So where's the cabinet? Where's the House of Assembly? Where's the government headquarters? Where's all of that? In St. Kitts. It's locally situated on the island of St. Kitts. So then you don't come with some foolish argument that because it's like saying this. It's like saying I'm a parent and I want to use the parent-children example. I'm a parent. I have I actually have 5 children. So I'm a parent. So I'm a parent and I have a home. And this is the home that my children live in, right? So then my children go out and some of them go out and get homes of their own, but there are some who are still living here. And then I start to argue, my children have a home, but I don't have a home because some of my children still live in my home, but I'm controlling the home that I live in. You understand what I'm saying? I make all the rules in the home when they go over to their homes, I can't go over there and tell them what to do in their homes. It is their homes. But in my home, where 3 of my children might still be residing, I can't say I don't have a home. To a certain extent, I might say, well, there are certain things I want to do in my home and I don't have complete privacy. But then I have a room. Depending on the size of the home, I might have my own kitchen. But I'm in control. And then to bring this argument that Nevis, because Nevis I'm a Kittitian. I'm born on St. Kitts. My father was a Nevisian. And growing up, I look at what was happening to Nevis as a young boy, and I knew it was not right. and I'm a statistician. And I'm saying that if politicians go up with that same mindset of what is right and what is wrong, we wouldn't have this nonsense about saying it's local and this and that. They will simply say, okay, so certain things have been done to Nevis that are not right, so we're going to right them. It's as simple as that. That's what I'm saying. It's come down to the human level. Don't come up with these foolish... Greg, this argument that St. Kitts does not have a local government does not have any merit. I know there are people out there who are going to come with all kind of nonsense about Constitution. The Constitution is as strong as the people who govern.
Quinn, let me ask you a question. Based upon what the Federation considers to be its Constitution, and I think that is sinful anyway, but based upon what the Federation considers to be its Constitution, what does the Constitution say that about the government that is located in Bastille?
Look, I don't give a damn what the Constitution says, you know.
Okay.
You know, you see, because look, let me tell you something. This thing, we're just following these European things that they've set. They can't even govern their own places. They are messed up. They messed up the whole world. They messed up the whole planet, and we're following their examples. Huh? Our Constitution is mainly a part of from them. We copy and paste almost everything, right? But I'm saying, in a modern world with intelligent people, I can take something from you and use it, but use it to the benefit of my people. I don't have to use it the way you used it. To segregate.
I'm telling you, the document that the Federation considers to be the document that the Federation sinfully considers to be its Constitution. It says the federal government, which is located in Bastille, and the local government, which is located in Nevis. What the Federation sinfully considers to be its Constitution does not make any room for a St. Kitts local government. You may disagree with it. I'm just saying this is what the man-made Constitution said that we sinfully regard as our Constitution.
I'm saying I don't disagree. I don't disagree with it because of what you're saying. I am saying that St. Kitts has a local government. I'm saying, and you know it.
De facto.
Whether de facto, you see, this is where you see Cartensia where they come in with all kind of nonsense argument, de facto this and using all kind of verbal representation and semantics and so forth. And all we're saying is be people.
You realize
and
how I don't have a voice over here?
Yeah. Be people.
Can't argue government
all I'm
politics.
saying is be people and treat people the way how they're supposed to be treated. That's all it is.
Nobody arguing that. Quinn, that's not an argument.
So why we have to go Constitution? Because
this is what the so-called Constitution says.
Yeah. Well, anyway, we're reaching.
So the Constitution says that one side should get more than the other.
Yeah.
The Constitution. That's what it's a lot of Constitution.
Look.
The Constitution says Nevis should get a certain amount, but at the same time, the same so-called Constitution saying that there's no local government for St. Kitts.
Greg and Burl, we've come to the end of this stint. Unfortunately, we were not able to bring weekly dose on the time that it should have been slotted because of all kind of things that I shouldn't have had to be dealing with, but I had to deal with it. So I now want to make sure that for the last half hour, I think we have Cartensia, that it fits in, and so I'm going to run it. So thank you. Yeah.
We got to wrap up. We got a 30 seconds wrap up.
No. We have to go straight into it. Okay. Yeah. So we're going to go straight into a rebroadcasting of Weekly Dose, and my apologies that it was not run when it should have been run. So here we go right about now.
Good morning, and welcome back to Island Tea, and we are on our Weekly Dose segment of this morning program. And as I mentioned earlier, the topic is it's Men's Health Month, and our topic is prostate cancer and BPH. Good morning, Dr. Osborne, and welcome back. We were just talking about aging, so yeah, that's why you heard the chuckles.
We're all aging, and we feel it. Our bodies feel it.
Yeah, right. Big time.
But it's great to be here with everybody on another Tuesday morning. It's always a pleasure. So, June is Men's Health Month. So we're going to show men some love this month by gearing on most of our topics on the Tuesdays towards them. So I hope our gentlemen and also their families and wives are listening as well, because you can always encourage the men in your life. So we're going to start off with something that is quite common and quite frequent, and it keeps affecting our men in our community, which is prostate cancer and BPH, which is benign prostatic hyperplasia, or just an enlargement of the prostate that's not cancerous. So those are the two most common issues that occur in the prostate gland as a man gets older. And I'll give you a brief story. A couple of weeks ago, I was presented with a gentleman. He was about 78. He came to see me, and he had a hernia. And he wanted the hernia fixed. So as a part of the workup, I said, okay, well, let's get your blood works done. And his PSA was very elevated, over 100, where we know that the normal is 0 to 4. So that is a very red flag. So when I spoke with him and his wife, I said, I'm very concerned about this. Along with doing the hernia, we need to prioritize the prostate gland, and I'm not comfortable with doing anything about the hernia unless we address and see what's going on with the prostate. He was all about the hernia. Doc, the hernia is what's bothering me, Doc, the hernia. And I'm explaining to it little by little. His wife was more on board with me, but he was so much more resistant. Eventually, we were able to do the prostate biopsy, and lo and behold, it did turn out to be prostate cancer. Oh, boy. And so hence now we're dealing with a gentleman who has prostate cancer, which is a malignancy. So we're going to talk about those things today: prostate cancer and BPH.
All right, so let's get into it. So what is the prostate gland and its function?
So the prostate gland is like a walnut-shaped organ, a small structure that sits below the bladder, the urinary bladder. And what passes through that prostate gland, it is the urethra, which is a little tube that takes urine from the bladder to the exterior when you have to pee. So that is why that one is important. The function of the prostate gland, it secretes a nice little fluid. We call it the prostatic fluid. It has enzymes, proteins, minerals in it that helps to give nutrition or nutrients to the sperm. The sperm is created in the cells that are inside of the testicle. And when it's time for an ejaculation, of course, it mixes as it passes with the fluid from the prostate gland, and it helps to lubricate it, helps the motility of the sperms, okay? And it also helps to neutralize the acidic pH. We talk about pH in science, okay? Because the vagina itself is a little bit more acidic, and that does a favor the sperm, so it helps to neutralize the pH in the vagina and makes it much more easier for the sperm to survive and get to where they need to go. Everything is about, nature is about reproducing and ensuring that everything goes well. So we have fertilization, and we develop an embryo that turns into a fetus, and we eventually have a baby. So that's where it comes into play. So when your prostate starts to grow, then you start having all these symptoms. Typically, a prostate enlarges as a man gets older. Once it passes the age of 40, we know naturally, as we women have our issues, men would have the growth of the prostate. It begins to enlarge.
Oh, wow. Is it a must that it grows, though?
Once you're alive, it's going to change. Once a man is alive and well, there's going to be changes in his prostate. Depends on your genetics, of course. It's going to be different for some. The same way with women. As we age and we go through menopause, with their changes in our body, their changes in our breasts, their changes in our skin, and even our vagina wall changes. So these are natural changes that occur as one ages.
Okay. So what is benign prostatic hyperplasia, or BPH?
So big word. Let's focus on calling it BPH. You want to keep in mind that that is the enlargement or the multiplication of the cells in the prostate glands that is not cancer. Okay? So it is not a cancer. It is what we call benign. We've discussed this before. When you hear something benign, that term, it means it's non-cancerous. Once you hear that term malignant, you think it's something that is cancer. So these are two terms I want our audience to keep in mind. So we know that the prostate, as a man gets older, naturally there are going to be changes and the cells multiply, so the prostate gland grows.
Okay, I know you mentioned how common it is, but let us still discuss how common is BPH.
No, it is extremely common. Once a man gets beyond the age of once a man gets beyond the age of 60, it is said that 50% of men above the age of 50 will have some form of BPH, okay? And by the age of 85, 90% of men will have signs of BPH and symptoms. So think about it. The longer a male lives, the more likely he will have some form or symptoms associated with an enlarged prostate. That is just natural as he ages. So by the age of 60, 50% of men have some signs of BPH, and by the age of 85 or more, up to 90% will have some sign. Sometimes the signs and symptoms associated with an enlarged prostate, as we will talk about briefly, are so subtle. So a male adjusts and then he doesn't even realize he's having some of these symptoms. Okay? Because it happens slowly over time as the body changes.
Okay, so let's talk about the warning signs of BPH.
Yes. So remember we spoke about the anatomy, Hortensia, and our audience, that the prostate sits just below the bladder. And there's an important tube that passes through it that we call it the urethra. And so when a man has the urge to pee, of course, that urine passes through the urethra and goes out to the exterior. So that's the waist now, okay? What happens as this prostate gland enlarges, the urethra or that small tube become crushed or squeezed in the center.
Okay.
And that is where all of the symptoms associated with prostate enlargement start to become. So some form of obstructive symptom. So keep that in mind. If you have a tube that was supposed to be 1 centimeter in diameter and now it's 0.5 or 0.3 centimeter, the urine is not going to be able to flow out adequately. And so these men will start having dribbling. Think about it, the young men, we know that when you're young, you could stay from one side of the street and shoot the urine to the other side of the street and things like that because it comes out with such force. That's because of youth. But as you get older, the stream and the flow gets weaker. So men would have to stand directly over the toilet bowl. Some men have now decided to sit down as well. Their wives will sometimes complain that they're messing up the toilet bowl, they're messing up the cap, what you call that little rug mat in front of the toilet bowl, and she will be fussing at him because he doesn't have the same strength and the flow. So that's what we call slowness, and sometimes they dribble. Sometimes when a male finishes using the bathroom, he puts away his penis and then his underwear is wet. That's what you call post-micturition dribbling. So after you've urinated, there's a little bit of flow dripping out.
Okay.
Men would have difficulty starting to pee. You would have an older man and a younger man. They're at a game, a basketball game, a football game, and they're all rushing during the break time to go to urinate. And the young men come in and they pee and they're gone. But the older men are standing there. It takes longer for them, just for them to get the stimulus for the urine to come out. They have things that they feel like they need to go to pee. Sometimes you see your grandpa feeling like he has to rush to pee or he's going to pee on himself. We call that urgency. And then some men, they have to go quite often. Why? Because they're not emptying their bladder enough. They feel like after they've urinated, they still have urine inside of their bladder. So we call that's the urge to go back and to go back again. So they're not completely emptying. Some persons will have their pee change color. Some persons will have pain once they after they pee, or sometimes during ejaculation. Those are some of the symptoms that we.
And the pee that smells.
Pee that smells. What happens? If your pee sits inside of your bladder for too long, it can get infected secondarily, or it can create a problem. Bacteria can start to grow. It's just like you put down any food or anything there. Think about even a flow of water. You know the drain. We have our drain. And if the drain gets blocks up further down the line, that water stays there and it becomes stagnant. And so that's what happened to some of our older men. The urine is not being emptied as it should from the bladder, so then it becomes foul smelling when it sits there for a long period of time.
Okay, what happens if you leave an enlarged prostate untreated?
So we're seeing a lot of this happening to our gentlemen, and this is why we speak about these topics, because we don't want to have these problems. Because if you don't have any treatment when it comes to an enlarged prostate, what's going to happen? Think about the anatomy, and I want to make sure that our audience follow me. So then you could eventually go on Google and look for an image. That sits on top, you have the kidneys. From the kidneys, we've got two tubes that we call the ureters. Okay, those tubes enter into the bladder. And then you have the urethra that empties out via the penis. So if you block any part there, you're going to have repercussion back up the street. Like, okay? So if you block off the urethra by an enlarged prostate, that urine sits inside of the bladder. And then what happens? You have that backup there that affects the kidneys. These are the persons who can even go into kidney failure over time. So those are some of the complications. The urine sits inside of the bladder for a long period of time, and you get a secondary infection. We call that a bladder infection or UTI. It's part of the UTI. If this urine sits there, you have sediments that are inside of the urine, and what you can have, stones forming inside of the urinary bladder. Okay, and then you have a male coming, Doc, I'm having this pain in my bladder, a start and stop urine, you do an ultrasound, there's a stone inside of the bladder. You could have blood or hematuria. When a man pees and he has blood in the urine, oftentimes one of the most common things is because he has an enlarged prostate. The prostate gland is very vascularized. There's a lot of blood vessels. And as the blood it extends and grows, it puts strain and pressure, and these blood vessels become engorged and they can rupture and bleed. So we don't want that. You also have things, we talk about kidney damage. That's the worst. When a gentleman knows, because he has not addressed the condition of an enlarged prostate, he then has kidney failure, which leads to him having to do what? Having dialysis.
But you can only have dialysis, Doc, up to a certain age.
Well, sometimes, yes, there are criteria for who is in condition to have dialysis, of course. But what if he's 60? He's still relatively young. Yes. What if he's 70? Okay, and then he has this problem. He needs a kidney transplant. We don't do that here. He needs dialysis, which is extremely expensive, and then he may not meet the criteria to be placed on dialysis.
So how is BPH diagnosed?
So we've talked about a lot of the symptoms. Of course, when you're going to make a diagnosis of anything, and I like to emphasize that, you want to talk about the history. What are some of the symptoms the person presents with, as we mentioned earlier? And then you want to do some physical examination. One of the first things you can do in office at the hospital is to do a digital rectal exam. It's simply that you have a glove finger with some lubricant and you insert that into the rectum, because just in front of the rectum lies the prostate gland, and you can feel it. All right, with a trained finger, you can get an idea. Is that prostate enlarged? Is that prostate lumpy, bumpy, or have nodules? Once you start having nodules inside of the prostate gland, you're thinking that that prostate gland may have a cancer inside of it. And we're going to talk about that. So different conditions you're feeling with. And so then you can do other studies. You, of course, you can do things like an ultrasound that can give you some information about how the bladder is empty, about how the prostate looks, the size of the prostate, if there are any nodules in the prostate. You could do a CT scan or MRI. Those are much more advanced there, but they can give you similar information, but a little bit much more detailed than an ultrasound would. You've got different flow tests where you can check how your bladder is emptying and what the residual volume is. Because they're standard numbers. After you pee, Your bladder will have some urine inside it, but if they realize that urine that left after you urinate is increasing in volume, that is indicative that there is something wrong. You can do a cystoscopy where we pass a little camera inside via the penis, looking inside the bladder, see what the condition is like, see if there is prostate tissue that is encroaching or imposing inside of the urinary bladder. So there are lots of different ways we can test it. And of course, we say the gold standard to confirm anything is always going to be a biopsy. You need tissue from that prostate gland to confirm what the condition is.
Okay, let's talk about the treatment for BPH. How is it treated?
So we're thinking about the treatment, Hortensia. We want to keep this in mind when we're treating anything, of course. Sometimes if the symptoms are very mild, you may not need treatment in the early stage. But because your healthcare provider may recommend a watchful waiting period, so you observe for a bit. And you schedule regular appointments. But if your symptoms continue to progress, you may need medication. Medication is some of the first steps we can do. There are different types of medication you can use. And the two main groups is one that we call an alpha-1 blocker that relaxes the muscle that's inside of the urethra and the prostate. So what? Once the muscle relaxes, the urethra or that little tube is able to relax and the urine flows out. Okay. The other major mechanism of action would be using something that stops the conversion of testosterone to DTH, which is dihydrotestosterone. But you don't want too much of the dihydrotestosterone. That causes the prostate gland to grow. Okay. So you stop that, okay, with a type of medication. All right, so there are different brands and different things. We've got some you've called Flomax. Some of our audience may be familiar with it. Hydrin and things like that. You've heard about the famous finasteride or Proscar. Those are things that we can use in terms of helping persons to not only cause the prostate gland to shrink and help the muscles there to relax so the urine can go right ahead.
Caller, good morning. You're live on Weekly Dose.
Good morning. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Doc, for your information and your teaching. It has been said a long time ago that 1 ounce of prevention is better than a pound of cure. And I think that you're preaching the preventative measure. But the question that I have for you is, you have said that the kidney keep on dumping excess fluid into the bladder. If the bladder fails to dump, then it means that the urine will be backed up to the kidney, and it's possible that the kidney will take back up some of that same urine and recycle it. That's possible. That is what causing the problem for the kidney. That you could give clarity on, and it appears to me like if you fail to urine, then that is where most of your problem comes from, in the kidney area. If that is not so, please explain. And if it's so, thank you very much and continue to educate. Have a good day.
Okay, thank you, caller, for that question. So things should only flow in one direction, from the kidney down. So we want to make sure that is clear. The function of the kidney, so the blood passes through the kidney, and it has those nice tiny little structures there that filters out the blood. And it's getting rid of the toxins that is inside our blood. And you want to get rid of that. Okay? So the excess stuff that your body don't need and all these toxins, it's getting rid of it. And it forms what we know as the urine. So the urine is formed inside of the kidneys. It is excreted by the kidneys down those tubes. We call those the ureters. Okay? They get into the bladder, it's stored, and the opportune time when you have that stimulus, you want to go and pee, it empties out. If we have a blockage at any part of the tube, there's repercussion up to the top by the kidneys. The kidneys is not going to take back up that urine. Okay. The kidney has already dumped it because it's of no use to the kidney. And so, but what happens? The kidney is continuously filtering out blood, and there's going to be a backup. And anytime there's a backup, what's going to happen? The urine is not going to be able to get through these little filtering system because everything downstream has a problem.
Yeah.
And so everything backs up there. These little structures then become damaged over time. And damaged as it continues, because everything starts right down at a cellular level. As it starts to become damaged, what happens? Your kidneys stop functioning as it should. That's why we talk about kidney failure in certain cases like this. We call that obstructive uropathy. Big word. Because of the obstruction there, it damages the kidney, and we don't want that to happen at all. So the kidney is not going to take back up all urine or bad urine. It is always getting rid of the stuff that we do not need, but it gets backed up and the cells are damaged at a cellular level. Then the kidney becomes enlarged, it becomes painful, it becomes uncomfortable, and it doesn't function as it should. And that is where the person ends up having what? Kidney failure. They start to look puffy. The different tests, when you do it, your potassium gets elevated, something specific that we call creatinine, that's one of the toxins your body needs to get rid of, that becomes elevated. And that is, all these are signs now. The person, limbs are swollen.
Yeah,
the edema. And then you have your kidneys that are shutting down and you're not functioning as they should.
Okay, caller, good morning. You're live on Weekly Dose.
So, in simple words, when you feel the urge, the first urge, go. Don't wait until to see how strong you are, to see how much urine you can hold. Once you feel it, it's time to go. Because if you take time to go, you're going to take your time to get to the restroom. So don't pretend anything. Just go and get the rid of it immediately once it gives you that signal that you need to urine. Just go. You're not a strong man and a strong woman.
Okay.
You're best to get rid of it. That's your sense of saying, right?
What you said?
Could you repeat that for the doc? She didn't hear the last part.
Okay, but he touched on something, and I want to clarify, but he's correct in part. When you have the urge to go, right? But we're not talking about the person physically not going just because they don't want to go, or they're in a bad situation. Like we may be on the air right now and we can't go, so we have to hold it. But these persons, they want to go, but they're unable to because of the obstruction or the blockage of that important tube. You go, but you're not emptying out enough. And that urine just sits there and backs up. And what happens, because I never mentioned this, the bladder is a beautiful structure that it has muscles in it. What happens, it stretches and it distends and it accommodates more and more urine over time. So then we call that chronic distension of the urine, okay? And so you get more comfortable holding on to more urine, but you don't know that because the body is adjusting to the problem that is going on. So your bladder, just suppose you have a small balloon and it holds so much. Because of the inability to empty, the walls of the bladder extend more to be able to accept more and accommodate more urine. So it's different from us sitting here right now having the urge but holding on to it because we're not in position to go. That individual, although they want to go because of the obstructive symptoms and because of that enlarged prostate, they're unable to go as they would.
Okay. All right, so let's continue on. We were on the treatment methods. You mentioned the medication. I see surgery here.
Yes, so there are different ways we can treat it. The ultimate thing is that I want our audience to remember that the prostate gland sits below the bladder and there's an important tube that passes through it. So as that prostate gland enlarges, it also pushes it up into the bladder, encroaches into the bladder. And that's that median lobe. If we talk about the different lobes of the prostate, there's a middle lobe that tends to give you that obstruction. So the idea of the treatment is getting rid or opening that middle lobe. Okay? The surgical treatment. We talk about the medication to help relax the muscles and shrink some of the prostate gland. So that middle lobe. And so we do different.
Hello.
Okay, caller, go ahead. You're live on Weekly Dose.
Yes, good morning to all. What I would like to know is, why is the prostate gland so prone to getting cancer.
We're
Since
different.
it has minerals and vitamins in it, in a way, as a store that keep it healthy.
That's
Hello?
it? That's the question?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And does it just decide? Well, you know, after a number of years, I'm just going to crank out and just get cancerous. Why is it prone to be cancerous after a certain time?
All right.
Hello.
Doc will
Okay.
answer that question for you. Thank you for that one.
Okay. So that brings us to a second part. So we talk about the surgical treatment. So you just want to, so there are different ways and fancy ways that you can remove that lobe or that part of that lobe so that the urine can flow. The objective is so that the gentleman is able to have an outflow of the urine to the exterior. Anything you can do. There are different laser surgeries. There are different things that you can resect part of that. Okay? So then prostate cancer, that is one of the other most common conditions that affects the prostate gland. The young lady called in and asked about why we get cancer. Just like any other cancer, breast cancer, lung cancer, colon cancer, there is a lot of times risk factors but no direct cause. What happens in every single cancer, at some point what is going on, the cells are multiplying unnaturally. The cells are supposed to be born, divide, grow, and then perform their function and then die. So we have that natural cycle. And there are different systems put in place so that it follows that. But when there are mutation at a cellular level, nuclear level, then these cells continue to grow and then they spread. And that is how we have these cancers. We know that prostate cancer is the most common cancer in male. Okay? It's only second to skin cancer, but skin cancer affects both gender, but it's the most common cancer in male. And from the CDC, their data says that if you have 100 men, at least 13 of them will develop cancer in some point of their life. And the data shows that 34,000 males in the United States die from prostate cancer each year. So it is a very common cancer. And just like she talks about the nutrients and the good stuff inside of it, because of time, wear and tear, mutations in the body, persons develop cancer. Okay, we know about the different risk factors, but there is no one specific reason that is still known. It's a compilation of body changes, genetic changes, environmental changes we know that cause different cancers to develop. Okay, the thing about it, those risk factors that we can have or we can control, we can do what we can, but some things on a cellular level we cannot change.
Caller, go ahead. You're live on Weekly Dose. Okay, we lost that caller. You can always call back. Our prostate. Okay. Caller, go ahead.
Yes. I would like to ask the doctor, what are the complications in having your prostate removed? Complications and urination, complications and erection, and complications of whatever else there may be. Okay, thank you.
Okay, all righty. So, when we talk about removing the prostate gland, we call a total radical prostatectomy. That's removing the entire prostate gland. That's commonly used if a person has prostate cancer. Depends on a decision of the treatment for any cancer would depend on the patient's overall condition, the stage or how advanced a cancer is, okay? And what are the benefits and the risks. But if you're going to remove the prostate cancer completely, with a benign condition, we don't remove the entire prostate. Remove mostly that middle lobe or that area that blocks the outflow. But if there is a cancer in the prostate gland, right, and you want to do a radical prostatectomy, right there in that zone, that pelvic zone has lots of nerves running through that area, lots of blood vessels, and you are likely to have some form of injury, though careful, though you're in the best center in the world. And these nerves also are responsible for an erection. So one of the things that a man can have is erectile dysfunction.
Once you remove that gland.
Once you remove the entire gland, yes, because you can injure inadvertently, unknowingly, and it's part of the complications. Remember, we talk about there are complications after surgery. You're looking always at risk versus benefit. If your physician said based on your condition, based on the stage of your cancer, they think that the best option is, and you have to determine that as along with your physician, because there's also radiation therapy, there are other forms of treating prostate cancer. But if you decide on having a total removal of the prostate gland, some of the complications can include having an erectile dysfunction. Sometimes these men can have urinary incontinence. They can't control their peeing, and sometimes they pee inadvertently. Those are some of the things that you can have. You can always have an infection there as well. You can have chronic pain as well too in the pelvic area. So they're associated complications. Lots of times now there are different ways of dealing with the prostate cancer that may not lead you to remove the entire gland, okay, so that you can avoid some of these complications such as the impotence. But you also have to realize too, some of the medical treatment for prostate cancer can lead to impotence, and you're weighing risk versus benefit. And if you want to have an extended life, you may have to undergo the treatment, whether it be medical and surgical, and you may still have some erectile dysfunction or some level of incompetence.
Ever encountered a patient that didn't want to do it because that would have been the outcome?
Well, they would ask, doctor, what is the management or treatment that least likely to lead to erectile dysfunction? Because that is an important part of a man's life. But also know, having a cancer, and as the cancer progresses, you will eventually have erectile dysfunction as well too. Yes, because that...
With or without treatment?
Yes, because a lot of times that as the cancer cells spread, they're going to infiltrate those nerves as well too, damaging those nerves that are surrounding, and the person will have symptoms of erectile dysfunction.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So you're not getting away from it to some extent, either way. So we talk about quickly some of the symptoms associated with prostate cancer. Similarly to, they can be similar to the BPH or the natural enlargement. So that's where the flow is weak. That's where you can have blood in the urine. That's when you can have burning when you pee. That's where you can lose your bladder control and have incontinence. Sometimes you have painful ejaculation. You can have blood in the semen, and you could have pain in your lower back or your pelvic region. That usually may be indicative that you have advanced disease, because what? The prostate cancer tends to spread to your pelvic bone and your hips and those regions, and those are why you start having that symptoms of having lower back pain, hip pain.
Are prostate problems always a sign of prostate cancer?
No, because we mentioned that there are different causes of enlargement of the prostate. Three main things. The other one I never mentioned is prostatitis. Remember, we spoke about once there is a itis associated with a word, is it an infectious or inflammatory process? So a person can have an infection. Young men especially, they're sexually active. If they're not using any protection, they can have bacteria go inside the prostate gland, causes an inflammation. Other cases, if you use any kind of instrumentation where you put a Foley catheter inside of the prostate, or go right ahead.
Go ahead, caller. You're live on Weekly Dose.
Yes, I'm kind to ask again. So a man who has his prostate removed and is having erectile dysfunction because of that, would such thing as Viagra and so on be of any help to him? Okay, thanks.
Thank you for that question.
Very interesting. Sometimes it can be of help, but sometimes, yes, sometimes it can be of help. Yes, Viagra can be of help. Let the other call come through then.
Okay. Caller, go ahead. You're live on Weekly Dose.
Yes, good morning. Good morning to you and the guest. I got a quick question.
concerning the discussion here. So once the prostate, not the prostate, sorry, the gland. Is that the prostate gland we're talking about?
Yes.
Okay, so once the male comes into a situation like this and he takes that surgery, is that, I mean, I know you're talking about impotence and stuff like that. That caller before, he asked a good question. I had that question in mind. But is that it for his reproductive, or, can you go that step further and talk about the reproductive, the male reproductive? Is that fit for him for producing a baby? I mean, especially naturally, from natural intercourse.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, I got the question. So we said that Viagra can help. One of the things that Viagra does is dilate the blood vessels going down to the penis and engorge the penis. So it does help. Of course, it's not going to be perfect.
Okay.
The other gentleman asked about having, being able to reproduce. The beautiful thing, though, commonly when a gentleman has prostate cancer, he's usually above the age of 50, 60. So it's usually an older gentleman's condition.
Okay.
So directly when it comes to reproduction, the prostate doesn't have any, it does help because we say it produces this fluid, this prostatic fluid that helps facilitate the movement of the semen. But remember, the semen is produced inside of the testicle. There are these special cells inside there that help produce the semen. So even in a condition, a man can get support, even if he wants to, with artificial insemination, but the sperms are still being produced because the sperms themselves are not produced in the prostate gland. Okay. But the beauty about it, most of the time when a man faces a prostate cancer, he's usually above the age of 50, 60. So he would have reproduced. Okay. So that's not the main reason of infertility in a male. So keep that in mind. Okay. Prostate cancer is not associated typically with infertility.
This seems like a hot topic this week, and we might just have to continue next week. So, oh boy, because as mentioned, we're already over time. So what would be your closeout for today? Because we have not gotten through everything that we
have not gotten to anything.
Oh, yeah.
Closing out, just remember, for prostate cancer, it is more seen in blacks, our race, rapidly. Advancing age. We talk about age. It says about 65% of prostate cancer occurs when a male is 65 years or older. So hence, he's usually not thinking about reproducing at that time. Family history, because there's some family history, and genetic risk factors. Smoking. So things we can always do: eliminate the smoking, eliminate the alcohol use, exercise, and stay as healthy as we can. My emphasis is always going to be prevention. I want our individuals in our community, in our small island, to check in early with their physician. So that would be my closing thought, that we check in, and if we have early symptoms of where we're having difficulty in urinating, you check in with your physician and get that sorted out as early as you can. And thanks for your tremendous support today. Thank you, Cartensia, and everybody here in the studio always.
So we're going to continue this next week. We're going to continue the parts that we didn't touch next week, right?
Well, they could bring in their questions and we'll go from there. But I have some other topics geared to the words of gentlemen that I think are very, very vital that we talk about them.
Okay,
all right?
No problem. So
right.
we're not gonna harp on this one, but we're gonna continue.
And always, if you have any questions related to men's health during this month, we're gonna address those. All right.
Alrighty. Thank you so much, Doc. We really appreciate you coming in, educating us. As one of our callers mentioned, your hard work is not going unnoticed. The masses are listening, and we thank you.
You're most welcome. So have a beautiful day, everyone, and be kind to each other.
And you had it, a rebroadcast of Weekly Dose. Again, my apologies for not having been able to run it at its usual point in time, but at least, you know what they say, better late than never. Do take care, have a great day, and a great life.
Found the South 98.9 FM.
Shopping with TDC just got much easier.